Imagine filling up your car, truck, or even an airplane with a fuel that emits nothing but water vapor. No smoke, no carbon dioxide, just pure, clean energy. For years, hydrogen fuel cells have teased us with this dream, a clean, efficient solution to power our world. But despite decades of hype, hydrogen has remained stuck in the shadows, outpaced by electric batteries and hamstrung by cost, until now. In a quiet Norwegian lab, a team of scientists may have just rewritten the rules of the hydrogen game. Their innovation slashes the most expensive ingredient from hydrogen fuel cells and tackles one of the nastiest pollutants hiding in clean energy tech. Is this the breakthrough that will finally launch hydrogen fuel cells into the mainstream and upend the future of energy and transport? Today, we're diving into the global race to make hydrogen truly competitive. You'll learn why this single Norwegian advance could disrupt electric vehicles, reshape energy markets, and trigger an economic battle that reaches from Tokyo to Detroit. It's easy to forget that hydrogen fuel cells aren't new tech. The basic idea was born in the 19th century, in 1838 actually, when German scientist Christian Friedrich Schonbein accidentally dipped platinum wires into acid and hydrogen, producing both electricity and water. Centuries later, these simple first experiments would pave the way for one of space exploration's greatest feats. In the 1960s, NASA engineers desperately needed a lightweight power source for their Gemini and Apollo missions. Chemical batteries were too heavy, so they turned to early proton exchange membrane, PEM, fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells powered spacecraft systems and even produced drinking water for astronauts. The tech clearly worked, but it came at astronomical cost. Each cell relied on platinum, a metal so rare it's often worth more than gold. After the oil crisis of the 1970s, hydrogen's potential as a clean energy carrier drew global attention. Governments and automakers began experimenting with hydrogen cars as a hedge against oil supply shocks. But progress was slow. Fuel cells remained fragile, expensive, and out of reach for mass adoption. Platinum prices soared. The membranes that made these cells work relied on special fluorinated chemicals, PFAS, often called forever chemicals, because they persist in the environment and have been linked to health risks. Fast forward to the 21st century. As climate change accelerates, the search for scalable, zero-emission energy has reached a fever pitch. Battery electric vehicles, like those from Tesla, grabbed headlines and market share. But hydrogen stubbornly clings to a unique niche, especially for heavy-duty transport. Buses, trucks, trains, ships, and even planes, where batteries are often too heavy or slow to charge. Yet the same barriers kept hydrogen fuel cells from breaking out. High costs, reliance on rare platinum, toxic PFAS in membranes, complicated storage, and a complete lack of fueling infrastructure. For clean hydrogen, the greenest type, made from renewable energy, to take over, the economics had to change. Enter the SINTEF team from Norway. Their mission: strip away the cost and environmental baggage that has haunted fuel cell tech for decades. In their recent experiment, published in the Journal of the Electrochemical Society, the scientists focused on two components. First, the platinum catalyst. Every PEM fuel cell needs a dash of platinum to trigger the chemical reaction that produces electricity from hydrogen and oxygen. But platinum isn't just expensive. It's classified as a critical raw material by the European Union, most of which is mined on other continents. Supply risks are real. SINTEF's breakthrough: they managed to cut platinum content by 62.5%. That's not a small tweak. It could mean the difference between fuel cells being a niche curiosity and a mass-market technology. Patrick Fortin, SINTEF's lead researcher, explains, "We found that once the membrane thickness dropped below 15 micrometers, further reductions didn't impact proton transfer. The resistance is all at the surface, not inside." In plain English, by making the membrane thinner and using less platinum, they could save money and reduce environmental harm without sacrificing performance. Their prototypes maintained the same power output, even as material needs plunged. Estimates suggest the cost to build a membrane could drop by up to 20%, while also cutting reliance on dangerous chemicals. It's not just a theoretical lab exercise. Plug these advances into real-world vehicles and hydrogen fuel cells suddenly look more competitive against electric batteries, especially for long-haul trucks, trains, ships, and planes. Low-emission hydrogen is crucial for decarbonizing the aviation, shipping, and heavy-duty transport sectors, says the International Energy Agency. No wonder Toyota, Hyundai, and even Airbus are investing billions in hydrogen fuel cell R&D. Let's zoom out. Why all the fuss over hydrogen now? The answer is simple: energy transition. The world is scrambling to decarbonize, and hydrogen offers a way to store and transport clean energy at scale. Unlike batteries, you can fill a hydrogen tank in minutes, not hours. Hydrogen's energy density, by weight, makes it attractive for moving goods and people over long distances. And as green hydrogen production, using solar and wind power to split water, becomes cheaper, the entire hydrogen value chain looks more attractive. But the challenges are daunting. According to the International Energy Agency, producing green hydrogen is still expensive, 3 to 6 times the cost of fossil-based hydrogen today. Infrastructure lags far behind. There are just over 1,070 hydrogen refueling stations worldwide, compared to millions of gas stations and electric chargers. The US, EU, Japan, and China hold most of the patents and are racing to dominate the technology standard. In short, while billions are being poured into hydrogen tech, the world still faces major hurdles. As Hari Vamadevan of DNV warns, the primary obstacle to achieving hydrogen production targets is the expense and sluggish implementation of blue hydrogen. Blue hydrogen, produced from natural gas with carbon capture, is a stopgap, and even it remains pricey and controversial. But momentum is building. The US Department of Energy launched the Hydrogen Shot, a moonshot goal to cut the cost of clean hydrogen to $1 per kilogram by 2031. Europe's High Deal ambition aims for 3.6 million tons of green hydrogen annually, with a target price of $1.50 per kilogram by 2030. The US government has committed $7 billion to fund regional hydrogen hubs to jumpstart supply chains and infrastructure. In the UK, hydrogen-powered trains are already rolling out, and heavy vehicle fleets are trialing hydrogen refueling networks along major freight corridors. As Gennady Bulat of Siemens Energy summarizes, hydrogen can serve as a crucial link between inconsistent renewable energy sources and a dependable energy supply. Yet, it's not just about the fuel cells or production. Storage is a critical bottleneck. Robbie McCreath from Atkins Realis points out, hydrogen storage is essential for decarbonization, and salt caverns offer scalable and economically viable solutions. Storing hydrogen safely, efficiently, and in huge volumes is still a technological puzzle, requiring new materials, pressure vessels, and infrastructure. Consider the potential scenarios emerging now. First, hydrogen fuel cells could become the dominant technology for heavy vehicles, trucks, trains, ships, and aircraft, where electric batteries struggle due to weight and range limits. Already, Toyota is scaling up its third-generation fuel cell systems for commercial vehicles, and bus fleets in California, Germany, and China are rolling out hydrogen models. Third, blending hydrogen into existing natural gas pipelines is gaining traction. This allows utilities to gradually increase the proportion of hydrogen in gas grids, helping to decarbonize heating and industrial processes. But this too isn't simple. Existing pipes, valves, and appliances may need retrofitting to cope with hydrogen's unique properties. Here's the emotional kicker. After decades of promises and false dawns, hydrogen seems poised at a tipping point. The economics are changing, policy is pushing, technology is improving, opportunities are emerging everywhere, from the world's busiest ports to the skies above. But there's always a but. Even with the Norwegian breakthrough, hydrogen fuel cells face fierce competition from battery electric vehicles, which are getting cheaper every year. Infrastructure for hydrogen is light years behind batteries, and the full environmental impact, from mining critical minerals to handling PFAS, remains under scrutiny. Will lower platinum and PFAS content be enough to sway investors, manufacturers, and policymakers? And then there's the ultimate uncertainty. Can these innovations truly scale up? Will supply chains hold up, or will new bottlenecks emerge? As the world races toward a future powered by clean energy, the next steps for hydrogen will demand not just better science, but bold business bets and political will. The question looming over the industry is now shifting. Has Norway's breakthrough given hydrogen fuel cells the decisive edge they need, or is this just another flash in the pan? In the second half of our deep dive, we'll explore what happens when these next-generation fuel cells leave the lab and confront the harsh realities of global markets, geopolitics, and the relentless advance of battery technology. Whose bets will pay off, and whose dreams will come crashing down? The SINTEF breakthrough marks a turning point in the story of hydrogen, a tale that, until recently, was defined by promise and disappointment. But as we look ahead, what scenarios could unfold from here? Will this innovation finally tip the scales, or do deeper challenges lurk beneath the surface? Let's explore the possible roads ahead, each with their own perils and opportunities. Imagine a world where hydrogen fuel cells shake off their shackles and charge into the spotlight, not just in niche applications, but powering massive cargo trucks, cruise ships, and even airplanes. The International Energy Agency projects the cost of green hydrogen could drop by as much as 30% by 2030, thanks to advances like this. That would be a game changer for sectors where batteries are simply too heavy or slow. Hydrogen could fill the gap in long-haul transport, shipping, and aviation, the heavy hitters of global emissions. But even in this best-case scenario, the journey isn't simple. Consider the daunting infrastructure challenges. Today, there are just over 1,000 hydrogen refueling stations worldwide, barely enough for a handful of early adopters, let alone mass market use. Picture the logistical ballet required to blanket continents with a web of refueling stations, pipelines, storage depots, and maintenance crews, all while guaranteeing safety and reliability. There's also the political chessboard. The U.S. Department of Energy's $7 billion investment in hydrogen hubs is just a start. The EU, Japan, and China are racing to establish their own regional ecosystems. As these hubs sprout up, clusters where hydrogen is produced, stored, and consumed locally, we might see energy independence bloom in unexpected places. Imagine coastal towns powered by wind-fueled electrolyzers, or industrial heartlands using hydrogen to phase out dirty coal and natural gas. But rapid adoption carries risks. What if a regional hub falters? What if key players bicker over standards, or pipeline leaks shake public confidence? And even as platinum content drops and membranes slim down, there's still a crucial bottleneck. The bulk of the hydrogen used today is made from natural gas, not renewables. Truly green hydrogen is still expensive, and until that changes, critics warn hydrogen fuel cells risk becoming a detour rather than a destination. Experts like Gennady Bulat from Siemens Energy argue, hydrogen can serve as a crucial link between inconsistent renewable energy sources and a dependable energy supply. But that reality rests on a fragile balance. Policy support, ongoing innovation, and public acceptance all have to line up. There's also the intriguing prospect of blending. Instead of an overnight hydrogen takeover, what if we gradually mix hydrogen into existing natural gas pipelines, stepping up the share as technology matures? This pragmatic approach could lower the barriers to entry, smoothing public acceptance and giving the grid much-needed flexibility. Yet retrofitting old infrastructure isn't trivial. Questions about materials and safety will dog progress at every turn. Meanwhile, some experts point to the tantalizing prospect of hydrogen storage as a battery for the grid. Robbie McCreath of Atkins Realis emphasizes, hydrogen storage is essential for decarbonization, and salt caverns offer scalable and economically viable solutions. When the wind blows or the sun shines, surplus renewable energy could be stored as hydrogen, ready for use during lulls. But building and maintaining this storage capacity at scale requires capital, coordination, and an ongoing commitment from governments and industry alike. With all these moving parts, what does the SynTef breakthrough really deliver? In essence, it knocks down one of the highest walls, reducing raw material costs and environmental risks, making fuel cells cleaner and more affordable. That clears the way for companies like Toyota, whose Mirai already boasts over 10,000 units of production capacity for fuel cell cars, to ramp up efforts. But it's just one piece of a sprawling puzzle. So, what does this all mean for you, the consumer, the policymaker, or simply someone curious about the energy transition? First, it's a signal to pay attention. We're standing at a crossroads, where the next decade will decide the shape of global transportation, industry, and even household heating. Understanding these innovations is not just for engineers or politicians. It's vital for anyone who cares about sustainability and wants to separate hype from reality. If you're considering a green vehicle, maybe you've looked at electric cars and wondered about their limitations, charging time, battery lifespan, range anxiety. Hydrogen vehicles sidestep some of those issues. A hydrogen car refuels in minutes and, thanks to advances like the SynTef membrane, could become much more affordable in the near future. But you'll need access to a refueling station, and that's still a rare commodity in most places. For businesses in transportation or logistics, this is as much a strategic opportunity as a technological one. Betting on hydrogen could mean access to incentives, cleaner supply chains, and long-term cost savings if the infrastructure keeps up. Early adopters stand to gain, but caution is warranted. Technology roadmaps are still shifting and regulatory support is not guaranteed everywhere. For policymakers, the message is clear. Innovation can't do it alone. Supportive regulations, targeted subsidies, and public awareness campaigns will be essential. The US, EU, Japan, and China are already vying for global leadership in hydrogen technology, holding over 2/3 of all patents. Whoever masters the complex dance of innovation and infrastructure will help dictate the pace, and perhaps even the values, of the hydrogen economy. But there's a role for every citizen too. Increased public awareness can put pressure on governments to build more stations, fund research, and hold companies to high environmental standards. The more informed we are, the less likely we are to fall for greenwashing or half-baked promises. Let's not forget the environmental stakes. By cutting down not just on platinum but also on toxic PFAS chemicals, the SINTEF design addresses some of the most persistent criticisms of fuel cells: their dependence on rare, dirty, or hazardous materials. With PFAS dubbed forever chemicals due to their environmental persistence, eliminating them from fuel cells is a bigger deal than most headlines suggest. Heavy industry, including aviation and shipping, are notoriously hard to decarbonize, and fuel cells that are both cleaner and cheaper could be their ticket out of the fossil age. Still, the race is not over. Battery electric vehicles have a massive head start, with millions of units on the road and a rapidly expanding charging network. Consumer loyalty, familiarity, and sheer momentum still favor lithium-ion over hydrogen. To truly disrupt EV dominance, hydrogen fuel cells will need to offer something fundamentally better, whether that's longer range, faster refueling, or lower lifetime costs. Excitement is building, but so is skepticism. Some critics point out that every decade brings a new wave of hydrogen hype, only for reality to lag behind. Yet this time around, the world is different. Climate targets are more urgent, and governments are investing billions, not millions. The pace of technological improvement, like that delivered by the SINTEF team, has accelerated. The International Energy Agency forecasts massive growth in the electrolyzer market, from just $1 in 2023 to $65 annually by 2030. These aren't baby steps, they're leaps. So, will the SINTEF team's innovation be enough to push hydrogen fuel cells into the mainstream and finally disrupt the dominance of battery EVs? The honest answer, it's a crucial breakthrough, but not the only one needed. Cheaper, cleaner, and more durable fuel cells are foundational, but mass adoption will depend on what happens next. Can policymakers and industry leaders coordinate on infrastructure? Will green hydrogen production go from boutique to bulk? And can public perception keep pace with rapid change? One thing is clear: the hydrogen revolution will not be televised in a single episode. It will unfold over years, shaped by technical, economic, and cultural forces. The SINTEF breakthrough tells us that the door to a hydrogen-powered future is now open wider than ever before, but the path beyond it will be crowded, contested, and, undoubtedly, exciting. And for those who stick around to the end, here's a secret fact. The very same proton exchange membrane technology that powers hydrogen fuel cells was first flight tested in space, on NASA's Gemini missions nearly 60 years ago. Out of that early, unglamorous start, we may soon forge the backbone of tomorrow's clean energy world. What do you think? Is hydrogen the future, or is it just another detour? Let us know in the comments. If you found this deep dive helpful, give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next investigation into the energy